What's up, everybody? This is Soren Baker here on Unique Access, and today we have the honor and the privilege of being joined by Brother Marquis. Thank you for coming through, sir.
Hey, man, it's my pleasure. I've been looking forward to doing this interview with you for a while. How's everybody doing out there? In the middle of the pandemic, man, and all of the chaos.
Yeah, I see you got your Adidas mask on, staying sharp and safe.
Hey, man, I got to. I'm always trying to wash my hands and sterilize and sanitize, man, and I'm trying to follow the rules of everybody.
Well, as you should.
No social distancing in the whole nine, you know?
Yeah. Well, we're glad that you could make it, and there's so much to talk to you about. We got to give a special shout out to Sir Jinx for linking us up.
Yes.
Sir Jinx is, been my friend since the 90s, and when he was like, yo, you want to talk to Brother Marquis? I was like, do I? Of course. So,
Jinx, that's my brother, man. I love that guy. Ooh,
yeah.
He has big energy.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Sir Jinx is always coming through for us. So,
yeah,
thank you to that. So, Brother Marquis, one of the things I know some people know, but a lot of people don't know, is the California connection with the Two Laugh Crew as far as the origins of it. So,
right.
So I wanted to you to really explain, being from California, where you're from, Riverside connection and all this stuff before we even get to Miami. So how, explain your relationship, with the members before you guys moved, like with Mr. Mix, before you guys ended up moving to Miami.
Well, I would like to send a big shout out to Rodney O, because out in Riverside, he was the first one to show me how to write a rhyme. And he was the first guy that I actually made a record with. We made a record when we were in the 9th grade called Rhythm Rock, and the name of the group was called the Caution Crew. And some would say that we probably had one of the first rap singles out in Southern California. I don't know how true that is, but we're somewhere right up in there, probably with Ice-T's Cold Wind Madness or Toddy T or somebody. We're up in there, so they say. But anyway, I met Mr. Mix, and I met Mr. Mix actually with Rodney O. We were into the culture back then, breakdancing and rapping and DJing and cutting and scratching and so forth. And we had saw Mr. Mix, and he was doing definitely a good job. I think I might have picked up the mic and probably started trying to freestyle. And I met Mr. Mix along with Rodney O. And Mr. Mix always kept his word. You know what I'm saying? That's why I commend him for keeping his word with me. He said, if I ever have any room to utilize you in any capacity, I will. So I was in New York. I was in New York in the winter, probably winter of 83, I believe, 83, 84 or whatever. And Mr. Mix gave me an opportunity to go to Miami. But I started making records in Riverside, California in the 9th grade with Rodney O. We made our second record when we were juniors in high school at Riverside Poly. And no, I'm not from California originally. I'm originally from Rochester, New York, where I am right now. And, that's kind of like, where getting into the culture and all of that sort of began for me. But Rodney O actually showed me how to structure a record out in Riverside, California.
Well, being so young, even though Rochester's still not New York City per se, of course.
Right.
What gave you the drive, desire, and the interest, especially in Riverside, to be like, you know what, I'm gonna try to make a record? Because I think it's also important to explain the context. Like you're saying, you guys were among, if not the first, to even do this. So right. What gave you, especially as a young kid, you're not in LA, you're even, removed an hour or so away.
Right. Always the culture again, going to the record store, looking through the 12 inches, reading the 12 inches. And if you luckily enough to have a rap album that had, some artwork on it, just everything in the culture, man, that I had to do to hear the latest record or, to try to put something on a cassette. I always was into that. I just was always into the rap music. There was just something about that music that just, that just drawed me in and just made me want to, okay, I can do that. Then, by the time you start memorizing the other big rap records such as Sugar Hill and King Tim the Third and all of that, you're like, okay, cool, I could do it, and it wasn't. I didn't have a doubt in my mind at that time, being that young, that I couldn't do and accomplish anything, and that's what we set out to do, and we both did it. And we
Okay.
both did it, me and Rodney. Yep.
And then what made you guys connect so well, do you think, early on?
Uh, I really don't know how me and Rodney kind of got together and started gelling. Um, Oh yeah, because we were both breaking. He would be at some of the same spots that I would be at, and we would break, and I would try to rap. He would try to rap, and we just clicked up like that because we both had love for the culture.
Okay.
Yep, yep.
And then with Mr. Mix, what made him somebody that you also think you gravitated towards?
Well, Mr. Mix was just super talented, and he always will be. As far as cutting and scratching, back then he was the man in Riverside to me. Yeah, Mr. Mix was dope. Um, and he was such a cool dude. He was such a cool dude. And I think when I met him, he was just coming home from overseas. So he had all of the break beats, he had the turntables, he had a gang of records, and he was in the culture too. And yeah, he could produce. He was the first guy that ever showed me the second guy that ever showed me a 808 drum machine. And he could make beats and I can rap. So, he would turn on some music and cut and scratch. I remember a couple of times at his mom's house out in Corona, and that's how we started vibing. That's how we started vibing. Yeah.
Now, this is something we'll talk about in more detail, but since we're talking about Mr. Mix, we'll talk about this in more detail later. But um, given the beats that he did for Two Live Crew, for Poison Clan, for Frost, on and on and on, why do you think that Mr. Mix isn't looked at as like one of the premier producers of the 80s and 90s?
Well, I would think that the Two Live Crew situation. Everybody just looked at Luke. It was Luke, 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 and we didn't hardly say anything, and we were kind of like mostly to ourselves, I guess, especially me. I should have been more verbal at times when I wasn't. But Mr. Mix played the back, and he was a DJ, and we were all out in front, and probably because he didn't really publicize himself back then as he should have, and maybe as we should have. Yep.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. Now, with the Two Live Crew, also, you came in replacing Yuri, correct?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
So, so what was it? What was that like for you to come into an existing group that already, didn't have a huge name nationally or even locally, maybe, but they were already in motion, and then you came in as a replacement. What was that feeling like?
Well, it was really crazy because I know the first time that I heard Two Live Crew, was with this gentleman I was working with at the time in Rochester, and he was playing What I Like. And then, like a couple of weeks later, to turn around and tell him again that I'm going to be in that group, was something crazy. And the group went on to do what we did. But yeah, that was cool, man. In the beginning, I was ready for it. I just looked at this. I looked at it as an opportunity for me to get in and try to shine and try to be successful. So it wasn't. I didn't give it a second thought at that time, with all of that energy and what was going on, and rap was starting to take its roots. Yeah, man, I jumped at that opportunity real quick.
And then what's the real reason, or what is the reason that you guys moved to Miami?
Well, I moved down there with Dave to start working on music. I was up in Rochester, New York, in the dead of winter, so sunny South Florida was looking real good to me.
Yes.
And yeah, and I went down to Miami. It took me a while to get used to it because we went down in the crazy days, late 84, 85. So you know what was going on down there then. But yeah, Mr. Mix gave me that invitation, man, to come to Miami and start working on an album. And I think we were working on, when we got there, we started working on Two Lives What We Are. We had a couple of concerts. Our first concert was at the Youth Fair in Dade County. And yeah, we did good. You know, I felt like I was LL Cool J or somebody coming out there on my first show. You know, the girls were screaming for me and pulling on me and everything. I was like, yeah, this is where I want to be. This is what I want to do.
Like, I could get used to this.
Yeah, I could get used to it, man. You know, I could get really used to it.
Right. Now, with that, if I understood correctly, though, before you guys even did Throw the D, you guys did kind of like research by going to the clubs and getting a vibe of what was going on in Miami. Is that true?
Yeah. Yes, we did too. We did do that too. And there was I kept my ears open, and I came up with Move Something, that record, from just being, you know, around Miami and you know, seeing what it was like and being new to the area, trying to pick up some of the vibe and the culture that they had there locally and mix it in with what we were doing. Since Luke was already, you know, really, really embedded into the whole musical scene there in Miami, that was really kind of easy to do. Luke was always DJing somewhere and always saying something crazy on the mic.
Right. And then I remember early on in the game, when I first started getting familiar with the Miami version of the Two Live Crew, what everybody then knew was on the records, it would always say unauthorized duplication will get you messed up, effed up by the ghetto style DJs. So once you started being around them, how did you notice that was different from what you saw in Rochester or in Riverside?
Oh man, it was definitely a culture shock when I first got to Miami. But you know, I mean, going from New York to Alabama, you know, and back to California and back to New York, you know, I was like, okay, well, these guys, okay, this is the South, kind of the deep South. They kind of, you know, I can kind of relate to them from being from going to Alabama with my grandmother every summer. I'm like, okay, these are like Alabama guys. All right, cool. Got a little bit of, you know, Southern swag in them, and a whole lot of it, and real deep, you know, Southern overtones. So as far as the people in Miami are beautiful, you know, I got to Miami and got right in and started, you know, building relationships and started making friends. Because Miami has a hell of a hospitality, man. Really, really good people. Really, really good people in Miami.
Yeah, I've been fortunate.
At all.
I've been fortunate to have a lot of good times there myself, so I know.
Yeah, man, you're gonna have a good time in Miami, baby. They know how to treat you. That good 305 love. Yep.
In the beginning, hip-hop was ruled by the East Coast. Then the West Coast rose to prominence thanks to gangster rap. Hip-hop changed the world. Gangster rap changed the narrative.
I'm representing for the gangsters all across the world.
And then changed the world again.
'Cause I'll come and take your life away.
The history of gangster rap features unheard stories, unseen photos and documents, all with exclusive interviews from the founders and players who shaped gangster rap.
I think a real gangster rapper has to scare you a little bit.
The history of gangster rap, written by veteran rap journalist Soren Baker. In stores now.
Yo, what up? This is DJ Quick. Be sure to pick up my homeboy Soren Baker's book, The History of Gangster Rap, if you really want to know what we do.